You're wondering why your relationship is missing that passion, that spark, and that fire, and you want to get it back. You'd like to learn, what does the research and data say? What are some of the things that I can do? And is there something wrong with my relationship if we're not having the emotional intimacy that we want, and if we're missing that sexual vibrancy? If those are some of the questions that you're coming here for, then today's video is going to address this for you and give you some tools, some mindsets, and some data points to help you overcome this problem of lacking the emotional and the physical sexual intimacy in your relationship. Because after all, when darkness falls, what do we have except you and me? My name is Luis Congdon. I'm a relationship researcher. I worked in one of the nation's largest research programs that looked at what makes a thriving relationship for couples with kids and what is it that makes a relationship not work so well, and then teaching that to couples for hours and hours every single week, working with a large caseload. And now I'm here to educate you on the research that we conducted in that program, as well as 15 years of research that I've done independently, as well as with other research programs. So first things first, if the intimacy and the connection in your relationship is off, you're right to feel a little bit concerned. It's not abnormal for couples to reach out and say, our emotional connection is missing. We don't seem to have a whole lot of it. Our physical and sexual appetite or connection or desire is gone, or we feel closed off, and for some reason, it's just not happening. And if that's you, first and foremost, I just want to share, it's okay for you to be at this place, and it makes complete sense that you're concerned. It's quite a shock to go from being in this place where you feel this rush and this chemical surge of being infatuated, being almost obsessed, and being somewhat like on a drug that is driving all these hormones and all these chemicals, things like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, norepinephrine, all these things that are surging through our bodies that make us feel this rush and this high and this obsession towards this person. And that makes us want to attach. It also makes us blind to who this person is. It makes us blind to our faults and their faults. And this is a wonderful thing. It's normal. According to researchers like Dr. Helen Fisher at the Kinsey Institute, they found that this rush and this infatuation period can last up to 2 years. It can last a few days, a few months, but maximum amount of time that we found is 2 years. And then after that, it's not uncommon that couples come to my office and they say, hey, we used to be obsessed with each other. We used to be emotionally connected. We used to be so close. We used to want sex and intimacy on a regular basis. We used to touch a lot. And now we feel like roommates. We feel like coworkers. In the cases of couples who have children, they say, well, it feels like we're really good as parents, but everything else, it feels like we can't get along, or we just don't connect, or we set things aside when we're with the kids and when we're talking about our children. But outside of that, the passion and the intimacy is gone, and it feels more like this kind of co-working, being employees with each other. And I know that's a real problem, and it should be very concerning to you if that's where you're at. Not so much concerning that, you should go somewhere else, not so much concerning that there is something absolutely wrong with your relationship, but it's something to look at. It's something to consider, because emotional intimacy and physical intimacy and sex and all that whole spectrum of intimacy is incredibly important. So my first thing for you is that if the sex has been absent in your relationship for some time, or it's been difficult, or there's been excuses for why it's not happening, if it's a challenging area in your relationship, quite often it is a byproduct of missing the emotional connection or misunderstanding that intimacy is a spectrum. Sex is part of that spectrum. Touch and physical connection is part of that spectrum. And emotional connection is part of that whole color grade of how we connect and how we stay intimate with one another. So I'd like for you from now on to consider that intimacy is about emotional connection, or about a sense of feeling safe with my partner and my partner feeling safe with me. If we can define intimacy from this place of we create time together, and we create time without distractions, and we create time that isn't about working or taking care of the kids or talking about our business or talking about bills, but we create time where we're here in the room together and we're with each other, not trying to manage some task or manage each other, but we create time to be together. then the byproduct will be more desire, more intimacy, more touch, more sex, more connection. But if that part of your relationship is missing and you're not making time for one another, then it's highly unlikely that you're going to get the whole gamut of intimacy that you want. I want you to think of it from now on as a scale moving up. Now, a lot of women, to be sincere, a lot of women understand this in a way that men don't. But that doesn't mean that as men, we don't crave to be intimately connected with our partner, to have an emotional sense of connection with one another. It's just maybe we don't feel safe to open up, or maybe our partner doesn't feel safe to open up, or maybe we're just not creating focused time to be with each other. So we want to break up the monotony and the routine. And some wonderful research out of Stony Brook University with Dr. Arthur Aaron and his research, what they found is that when couples who have been together for a long time, when they do new and novel activities, it stimulates the parts of the brain that are normally associated with new love or infatuation type love. And according to the data and the research, we used to think that that type of stimulation of dopamine, serotonin, and all these other wonderful chemicals that make us feel infatuated, we used to think that that could only last up to 2 years and then it would go away. But what Dr. Arthur Aaron and his team discovered is that when couples, no matter how long they've been together, when couples do new and novel activities, they stimulate those parts of the brain and kick into gear those hormones in a way that are normally only reserved for new love. And so what we can extract from this data is that couples who've been together for a while, they get stuck in a routine, they get stuck in a pattern that kills the passion and excitement. It might make you feel safe, comfortable, or trusting of what's going to happen, which this is all wonderful, but it can also make you bored or make you not feel stimulated, not excited, not adventurous, not sexy, not fun, not playful. And these are very important emotions for us to have in any relationship, in any part of our lives. It's critical that we have these kind of opposing emotions, if you will, the safety and the comfort, but too much of that is boring or routine. And we need so we do need some adventure and some excitement, but too much of that, well, we don't want to go back to being teenagers again and just living on the edge all the time. We want kind of a healthy mix of this. So if you're feeling some of that stuckness in the intimacy and the passion, what I want to suggest to you is start creating some new and novel activities in your relationship. Now, new and novel, according to Dr. Helen Fisher, does not mean that you need to go skydiving or do something crazy like that, right? Or something that's just way out there out of your comfort zone, but you do need to do something that is different and new with your partner. Dr. Helen Fisher, in one of our interviews, said you could go on a walk through a different part of your neighborhood. You could go to a museum that you've never been to. You could take a dance class, take an art class. What I recommend is schedule regular events or outings and ways to have some sort of activity and way to shake up the relationship and add some newness, some novelty into your relationship. So what my partner and I like to do is follow the 7-7 rule. So every 7 days we go on a date, we try to eat somewhere we've never eaten before, we try to take a class that we've never done before, we try to do something sort of new that doesn't require a ton from us, and then every 7 weeks we try to do something a little bit bigger. Maybe we get away for a weekend, or we go camping, or we go stay at some nice fancy hotel. I don't know, just kind of some sort of different thing that we haven't done that might require a little bit more planning. And then every 7 months we do something way bigger, maybe travel to a different country, or that's kind of one of our favorites. Maybe it's take some sort of intensive class together for a whole day. Do something new and different so that you can add this novelty and excitement back into your relationship. And what I have found is that sometimes that's all a couple needs to kind of shake things up and stimulate those emotions and those neurochemical reactions that are happening that make you feel more loving, more desiring, more passionate, more adventurous, more sexy. We need to add more novelty into our relationship so that we can stimulate these emotions and this excitement. One of the other things that gets in the way of having a great connection, emotional safety, and fantastic intimacy in every sense of the word is how you manage conflict. Many couples who are complaining or dissatisfied or frustrated by their lack of connection or physical sexual connection, a lot of times it's not because they're not having enough of it, not because they're not putting enough effort or conscious effort into it. It's not because there's a lack of desire. A lot of times, couples who are struggling with intimacy are struggling with how they manage conflict. You have a regular pattern of blowing up, shutting down, running away, exploding, chasing each other, threatening divorce, doing all these kinds of things that are toxic and unhealthy to your relationship, then there will be a byproduct that the intimacy, the connection, the emotional openness, the loving feelings, they will not be as present in your relationship, because if you're constantly hijacked, or you're constantly shut down, or you're shut down a lot, or shut down in a really powerful, potent kind of way that shuts you down and makes you kind of concave and not want to share with your partner and feel like it's not safe for you to share or be open or trust and emotionally undress yourself, then you're not going to physically want to undress yourself either. If there's a habit of exploding, yelling, screaming, threatening divorce, calling each other evil names, saying nasty things, or throwing threats of ending the relationship or you're out of here, then the byproduct will be not a lot of great intimacy in the whole sense of the word, from feeling safe to reach out and touch, to ask for intimacy, whether it be dates, deep conversations, hugs, or just opening up, or physically, literally undressing yourself and having physical sexual connection. So if this is a pattern in your relationship, I want to introduce you very briefly, but we'll dive into this in a much deeper way in other videos. But for right now, I want to introduce you to the window of tolerance. As you can see in the image here, there is a graph that shows us that the window of tolerance is this perfect place where we can exist, where we feel safe, we feel connected. And outside that window, there is a high place and there is a low place. In the high place, we're yelling, we're screaming, we're angry, right? And in the low place, we're shut down, we're quiet, we're inwards, we don't make eye contact, we stonewall. And one thing I want to say to you about that is that the antithesis of intimacy, as we've defined it, which is the ability to be here together, to feel safe and comfortable with one another, to have present, open communication and a sense of shared space in the here and the now with each other, if there is a huge habit of the shutdown or the escalation, your heart rate changes, your physical body will change. There's a tendency to go outside this window of tolerance where we explode and we go boom, then we will feel like this and we will not feel open with our partner because, well, we feel exploded and we're not in this place where we're calm and we're safe and we're coexisting in a way that's helpful and open. And this is where intimacy happens, right? So as you see in the graph, intimacy is this place where the temperature is not too hot, but not too cold either. My heart rate, my body, my whole nervous system can relax. And that is how we define trust. That's how I define it in my work, and that's how I teach couples to think about trust. Trust is I exist here, and I can be open and safe with you, and vice versa. You can be open and safe with me, and there is a sense of I can get to know you, I can ask you questions, I can inquire, and you can do the same thing with me. But if we have too much explosions or too much shutting down, and especially in really extreme ways, then I want you to address this. And in this video, we're not going to dive into it because we've already talked very in depth around intimacy, physical, sexual connection, and rituals, and what are some of the drawbacks of not creating that, and should we be concerned, and what should we do? But what I want you to do is, in the comments, if you're watching this as a short, and if you're watching this as a long video, I want you to look in the comments down below in the description as well. And you will have a link to other resources of how you can connect with your partner and how you can talk about this window of tolerance with one another so you can fix it. And then the byproduct will be more openness, more emotional safety, more sense of being able to share space with one another. And if you have that, the whole spectrum of intimacy and connection opens up, and then your desire to emotionally, physically, verbally undress will be a natural thing, and it will occur, and setting the intention for it to happen will be much easier, and we will be more likely to want to do that. We will be more likely to have a great relationship and an expression of our love and affection for one another. One of the other things I want to suggest to you as well is that if you're missing the intimate connection, there is likely a lack of positive energy flowing back and forth in the relationship. See, in order to feel open or to really have a great orgasmic connection, if you will, or a thriving connection, we need acknowledgement and positive energy flow. One of the ways that we can do that is we can put more effort into putting more positive words towards each other, more acknowledgement. Maybe your partner makes a wonderful dinner and, hey, thank you so much. This is a really wonderful dinner, meal. I know that you went and shopped for the groceries, you put a lot of thought into it, and I want to appreciate you. I want to thank you. Or maybe we do little gestures of buying each other a gift or reaching for a touch more often. But my focus right now is words of acknowledgement, words of praise. So if you'd like, here's a few ideas. What's one way your partner has helped you grow? What's one way that your partner supports and makes your dreams easier? I want you to think about some of the answers to these questions and write them down if you want. We also have a game for this as well, but right now what I want you to focus on is what are some of the ways that your partner makes your life better? What are some of the ways your partner helps you grow? And if you have children or other family, what's one way your partner makes that part of your life better? And I want you to think about the answers and feel that in your body, and then write down your answers or text your partner or call your partner. But I want you to create more rituals of verbal acknowledgement. Healthy couples have a huge difference between the negative couples and the healthy couples in regards to how much positive praise they share with one another. Now, we've covered a lot of bases as to why intimacy gets clogged, why it becomes a frustrating or place of contention in a relationship, and what we need to be doing about it. The last thing I want to share with you is that if you like videos like this, be sure to leave a like and a comment. Tell me what your thoughts are. Share with me a little bit about yourself so that one, I know you're getting value out of these videos. Two, so that I get a chance to connect with you and find out what's going on in your life and what kind of videos can I make to further enhance your relationship and give you more answers. And don't forget that if you've enjoyed today's video, we've left some links down below and links in the comments, depending on where you're watching this from, so that you can go and grab some free different resources that will support and help your relationship, your knowledge, and your education so that you're better equipped to have a thriving, long-lasting, secure, healthy partnership.
Love is the answer.